as much as we continue to push forward, become courageous, become and that's a kit that we need to really get going in our business, get going in our financial status. Continue to increase all that because learning is a lifelong, our preparation is a lifelong school. We don't graduate from it. So we don't graduate from learning. Learning is one of the greatest things that can happen to you. And on Saturday, come again, we're going to be having our WIP program, Wealth Impartation Program at HIA. So let's, anyone around the community, so that community should be there, number 3 Americana Street. That's what we're going to be having from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock. We had our one last week on Friday, but we are moving to Saturday this time around to be able to accommodate more business folks. So it's been wonderful. It was fantastic today. We met with a lot of business people, counsel, had a therapy session with them. It was fantastic. So today, yesterday I talked about 4 levels, 4 business models. Choosing the right business models. And I know that understanding the business model, it will help you to know what it is that you can do, what kind of business model should you choose for your business, rather than just doing your business anyhow. Go and watch that video yesterday, day 25. You will see the business model so you can watch it. Because of the time, I was fast spent already. I had to go straight into the work for today. My name is James Olokesusi once again. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, so that other people can get it and you can continue to get what we are posting. And also, let me not forget our course coming up on system thinking, from venture to institution, from doer to builder, from skill to business to scalable business, from just hustling to be able to build a scalable business, building a structured business that can be transferable, that even can attract investors. So make sure you follow up on that. So the link will be shared very soon. We are working so hard on it, and like I told you, the website is done, the videos and all that needs for perfect the course, they are working. We're almost done with them, so you get them. So, but it's a payable course, so to help you system thinking. So today I want to talk about 4 levels of value. 4 levels of value. The first thing is that what is value? What value are you giving? And 4 levels of value, like I always hear, that investors don't invest in needs, they invest in value. What is the meaning of value? Value is the problems you are willing to solve that people are willing to pay for. The problems you can solve that people are willing to pay for. That's value. The problems you can solve that people are willing to pay for. That's value. So it's so important that you understand that place of value, because anyone that's going to be valuable must be able to solve problems. You must be able to answer questions. You must be able to meet needs. So that's what value is all about. So in these 4 levels of value, I'm going to be using Nigeria and Nigeria crude oil as an example, as an illustration, so that you can understand in yourself, to understand what level am I in the values, in these value levels of value, and or in the value chain. We have talked about value chain. So please, we want to talk about the levels of value. So in the 4 levels of value, we're going to let you understand what you need to do, what level you are now, and what level you might need to begin to aim for. Because when you understand these things, you begin to understand that the level you are playing at is just survival. There are 4 levels. The first one is commodity level. Commodity level, we call it survival level. Commodity level, let's take Nigerian crude oil for example, is we produce the crude state of oil. We produce crude oil, and we sell it, or we take it out to go and refine. So that's survival. That's a raw state. You are producing. You produce cassava. As a farmer, you are selling. That's a crude state. There's no much profit on that. It's survival level. So the same thing happens for our oil, because we can't, as far as crude oil is concerned, we don't control the price. This international community controls the price. In fact, so even the quota that we sell out is determined by OPEC and the likes of that. So we don't have control on that. So is crude oil state is a raw state whereby requires to be refined. So if whatever level of your level is, or your product is, this is called commodity level. You will only sell at a raw state. many professionals are at this level. They sell their time, they sell their skill at on a refined state, at a uh, at a cool state. You're just selling your time. You're an accountant. You're just this one. That one, you're just selling your time. You are just selling your time. So there's another level that's higher than that. So many professionals are guilty of this, and many business people are guilty of this. You are only selling at a raw level. You just get say a raw level. What about if you can move to the next level, which is called the product level or processed level? This is a level where Nigeria takes the crude oil to like Dangote refinery now, or to some place abroad. They refine it into petrol, diesel, kerosene, aviation fuel, and several of 11 to 12 products. And these ones are going to make profit. This is called stability state. This is stability state, whereby people they are refined, they are packaged like somebody that has like a career person now that has a profession, a skill, now has refined it into a product. An accountant has positioned himself as not just an accountant selling time, he's selling consultancy, he's selling his guidelines, is selling, is consulting for smaller companies, for smaller businesses, and that is, he has refined it and created a product out of it, where he can sell the bookkeeping, he can sell consultancy, so to speak. So that is refined state. You are now selling a product. So Nigeria stays, that's why we say Africa is that's why Nigeria is producing oil, they are still poor, or we are still poor. The country is still poor. Why? Because we stay at that survival level. We never move to that level, because at this level, when it's refined, that is stability. That is stability, where more money comes in from refining. In fact, we have to come and import at higher costs. We have to import at higher costs. So, and another level is called the service state. It's the service state. So the service level, or better still, the service level. That service level is profitability. It's a level whereby, having imported the oil, we have some people who are into distribution. They are distributing it, or the retail. That is, those are the ones who are into service and the likes of that. That's profitability level, whereby somebody producing turning cassava into gari, and somebody now begin to sell, some distribute the gari left and right, and making money. They are just distributing from farmers. Even the farmers are not making the kind of money they are making, because they are not buying from one farmer, they are buying from several farmers and distributing. So like same crude, after it is refined, they sell product. Now they move to service, whereby they are distributing, they are retailing. One person has about 20 filling stations, and they are retailing and making an astronomical amount of money. That's a profitability level. That's a distribution level. That's one good thing in the value chain that Dangote capped, in his cement industry, or cement factory, cement business, so to speak. He is producing, when he gets a raw material, limestone, he produces it into cement, he's distributing it. So he's maintaining the two value chains of processes and distribution. It distributes. So by that, so that's a profitability level. And the final level is called, so after that, you have moved from commodity level, you move to the product level, you have moved to service level. The last one is the wealth level, which is system level, where you become a brand, you build a system into what you are doing. Like, for example, now for the crude oil, now it is turned into the country is supposed to build a petrochemical industry, whereby they are producing chemical, fertilizer, and plastics, and they are becoming a global brand. That's what our products are supposed to be. That's what happens in Iran. Iran is not only producing crude oil, they are refining it, they are distributing it, they have a petrochemical industry. That was what US was threatening to bomb last week. In fact, Israel blew a bit of it. They have a petrochemical industry that is producing all the chemical, fertilizers, plastics, and so many other products that position themselves as a global brand, whereby they are making, creating wealth. That is where they are building factory, converting oil into factory. That's why we are saying the crude oil is a liquidating asset that can be liquidated over a period of time, because it can stay for about 100 years. If you continue to sell without using the proceed to build factories like petrochemical factories, we are only liquidating the asset. Over a time, the crude oil will die. But countries like Dubai, countries like Iran, countries like Saudi Arabia, they have built a petrochemical industry where they are producing, they are turned to factory where they are producing several components that they become a global brand, supplying to the rest of the nations all over the world. Nigeria is still importing fertilizers and and yet we have the raw material for fertilizers here, and we go over to import fertilizers and buy at a higher cost. That's, you can see, that is where the world begins, where there's a structure on ground that begins to build factories. So in your own business, what level are you? There's a commodity level, whereby we talked about, you just sell at a raw material. Probably you are just let's now come back to a skillful person. There are 4 levels to it. You have to refine it. You have to refine your skill. You have to package your skill. You have to position your skill, and you have to scale it. You have to scale it. That's where it becomes wealth. You have to scale it, build system around it. So you need to do that. You need to do that. So in your skill, at whatever level of business where you are offering, what level are you? Are you at the commodity stage, selling just raw, or just go and buy and sell? You are not producing. You are not begin to produce. Dangote at one point was importing salt and sugar. At one point, he begins to produce. He begins to process it and to distribute it. And you can see it moves from the value chains of just commodity level. I just go and buy and sell. They moved into a level of processed. They moved into a level of service. That means distribution. That's why you have to keep thinking in your business. What level are you serving at? What level of value are you serving at? Then you begin to build into scale, where you build structure into what you're doing. It becomes automated and it runs on its own. Begin to create wealth even when you're not there. Even in real estate, you build a real estate whereby you have several properties you are renting out. Even when you're not there, agents or facility managers are managing it for you. That's where you have scaled and built system, and your money, while you are sleeping, money is coming to your account. So that's a level of value. So in your own industry, in your own business, think, what level of value are you? Because the way that creates wealth is number 3 and number 4. That's the service level, distribution, and system level, whereby you now have a structured, even when you are not there, the money is coming in. Even when you're not there, you have created a structure. You have created a structure whereby the money continues to come in. So that's what we're talking about. You now begin to build into a brand. You are building. You have an accountant. You have a manager. You have people who are. The place is structured. Now you have become a full-fledged company, not just a struggling, a hustling outfit or a hustling, effort model. You are built into a structure model whereby you are creating wealth even when you're not there. So those are the 4 levels of value, and begin to look at that. How do you function? Which level are you, and how do you begin to move as a career person, refining your skill into products, and that means refine it, package it into different products. You are a teacher. How many online classes are you offering? How many tutorial classes? How many books have you written? So you package your skill into products. What about the service? What are you distributing? What are you, and lots of that? Then you now move into the system level where you have a school, you have a tutorial center of your own, that even when you're not there, it's functioning well. You are building. That is when you are creating wealth. So in your industry, think about it. What level are you playing at? So that determines how you are creating wealth. The third one and the fourth one, that's where the creator is. And that's why we complain about Nigeria. Where is our money? Because even the crude oil in the first place has been mortgaged, to get a loan. So where is the money coming in? The money, most of the money they even use to pay staff of government workers are borrowed. May God help us. So while we are borrowing wisdom for what is happening in our country, let's begin to personalize into our own microeconomy to be able to see that we do better in our own personal. It is easier for us to complain about government, to complain about leadership. How do you govern your own life, govern your own business? How do you begin to postulate the right leadership principle into your own business, so that you can begin to grow and see the fruit and see the picture of the future you desire, and see the manifestation of that expectation that you are even expecting for the country. So that's what I have for you today. Don't forget, preparation is a lifelong school. Nobody graduates from it. All right. See you tomorrow on day 27. Get our course on system thinking. After system thinking, we won't take long before scaling as well comes forth. So, but get our course is going to be so fantastic. We're going to share the link below. Once again, my name is James Olokesusi. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share to somebody to watch it. Bye for now.